What's something that you're looking to accomplish in the next 12 months? Do you have a yearly goal of something you're looking to do?
Yes, and that's a good question, especially this year. I've added 4 new team members this year. I've been sailing along quite fine with 6 that I had. My team has 2 full-time employees. We just added a third. I have a full-time ISA and I have a full-time office manager, and we added an assistant to both of them now. And then I added 4 new realtors to my team, and that's all very purposeful and very strategic. I'm 63. I want to be out of the business in 5 years. But I don't want to be the realtor who walks away from a 5,000 person database and just hopes they call for referrals. So, what I'm very purposefully doing in the next year is getting those 4 agents that I just brought on well honed, well trained, in place. And then I actually have a 3 to 5 year plan where I'm going to be transitioning out of the business, at least from the actual sitting at dining table stage,
Yeah.
and turning the reins over to someone else. And then I'm getting lots of great advice from the Joanne Labudas and the Sue Lusk Leaches and all these great realtors who are 3 years ahead of me doing this. They've been so generous in coming to me and saying, okay, here is how you get out of the business without losing your income stream. And I'm tentatively walking through that. But this year, particularly, is a real building year to make a solid foundation of agents that will continue working under the Kathy Chiero model, so that
Yeah.
I have a passive income stream in years to come. So that is my goal. So what I do is really, and they're all your age, John. So a lot of it is there. A lot of them are educating me and having, teaching me about the use of social media, the use of mentors, the use of networking, all of these things that I shrug my shoulders at, but they are showing me the value in it, for them. So my job really as a leader is to get up every day and say, okay, how can I make you better as an agent? How can I look at
Yeah.
you? You come to me, and so we've started having quarterly meetings one on one with each of them, and I say to them, okay, if this is your playground, what tool do you need to do this better, and how can I give you that tool? Or if another seminar I do is called Hops and Homes, and we have it at a brewery, and we invite buyers, and my agents do that all by themselves. They all sit up there and do the class. And so, do you want to do 3 this year instead of 2? In other words, what can I do to fill your pipeline? And let me now be the cheerleader, the facilitator, and you guys start taking the work. That's one thing. And then we have meetings where I look at the whole umbrella of my brand and say, okay, guys, uh, who wants to take what? Who wants to be in charge of Downsize Columbus? Who wants to be? That's a whole nother story of an LLC, the
Yeah.
Downsize Columbus brand. And who wants to begin to take that over? Who wants to handle Hops and Homes? Who wants to, be on this side, developing branding recognition, whatever it is, all the things I've done, I'm starting raising up leaders beneath me to take that over, because I don't want to be doing this in 5 years, but neither do I
Yeah.
want to look back and say, boy, I left a ton of income on the table because I left wrong.
Yeah. And with you doing, the transition out of the business, I heard someone say a while ago, like real estate agents, we don't have retirement parties, right? It's usually like go
Yeah.
from selling to just disappearing,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
with you being able to go through that transition, and like for me, like Ryan's been out of production really for 6, 7 years, and you're now showing agents that path, right? Of how do you go from having a job to actually having a business that you can step away from and it still
Right.
runs, and
Yeah.
it doesn't need you. And I think that that's where a lot of agents struggle with is they feel like they have to be in it, in order for it to go. And that's not
Right.
necessarily the case. The
Well, and
delegation and stuff's so important.
many realtors just assume, John, they say either they don't care because they've either got a second income in the family, or they didn't sell that
Sure.
much to begin with. But I have, as I said, I've got a 5,000 plus person database. And I went to an accountant in the process of thinking through this. And he put a $1.2 million value on that database. Okay, so am I just going to go to Florida and hope, do them? No, you've got to
Right.
figure out how do I even monetize half of that database? And then the other thing I'm very protective of, and you are too, you will be as you grow up, I'm protective of the brand. It has my name on it. So
Yeah.
who you put in to continue that is extremely important. It's a multi-layered set of values, of business values, spiritual values, ethics, how you operate a business. And so, really building that brand over time, then trying to deconstruct it and say, how do I hand it off to somebody else while giving them the freedom to make it their brand because I trust them, but at the same time protecting what I took 25 years to build, is a multi-layered process. And I will say this, and again, Joanne Labuda at Keller Williams Consultants has always been to me a hero. She's a real mentor. Just out of the blue, she called, well, sort of out of the blue, she called me. She said, Kathy, I heard you're thinking this. And it was right before Thanksgiving this last year. She says, I know we're going into the holiday season, but I'm marking my calendar. I'm going to call you in January because we're going to sit down and talk. I'm going to walk you through this. And this is a woman who today makes 6 figures a month doing nothing except being that sort of butterfly that hovers over the brand she built and lets the agents below her produce. What a gift. What a gift to be able to sit with her at a Starbucks and say, okay, do this, don't do that. I've already talked with Kathy Faust. She too sort of passing off her business, and she was so helpful, giving me, do this, don't do this. I mean, all these women are 3 and 4 years ahead of me. So yeah, it's been really helpful and exciting to see that kind of generosity of spirit. But you're absolutely right. When I'm sitting on the other end, I may write a book. I might write a book to say, okay, this is how you do this, so that you can still be the recipient of what you worked so many years to earn while moving on. And maybe for me, it's doing that podcast or whatever I'm going to do next, but not leaving all of that work and income on the table behind you.
Yeah. I have two final questions for you.
Yeah.
What what's a legacy goal for you? What's a goal you're looking to accomplish when you're no longer here?
My legacy is that at my funeral, people will come forward and tell my children what I gave them.
Mm.
And that comes in a lot of forms. One is the giving of education, being able to say, Kathy taught me this. I'm a real letter writer. Kathy wrote me a letter at a time when I needed to hear something. And I'm a real financial giver. My accountant tells me every year I'm going to get audited, because my Christian background, my biblical principles taught me years ago to give generously, to give openly, to give without expectation of return. So my legacy would be that I have 3 adult kids who would be the recipient of my honors at my funeral, that people would come up to them and say, I want you to know this is what your mother gave to me, in whatever form that is. Because honestly, John, what else is there? I mean,
Yeah.
what else is there to leave behind except that very hopefully lives that were changed because you had the opportunity to touch that life. And to me, that is the absolute pinnacle of legacy I would like to leave.
So good. So good.